Up until now, we've only been able to log users in using a username. If we wanted to use a password, however, if we wanted to use an email address, however, this wouldn't work. And this is because Django by default only supports logging in using a username. In order to facilitate an email login, we need to build what was called a custom authentication backend. An authentication backend is a backend that Django uses to authenticate users. So we could create authentication backends to only log users in if they had if they need a specific passcode or something. So in my settings, I'm going to create a setting called authentication backends, and that's going to be a list, and it's going to contain django.contrib.auth.backends.model backend. And we're also going to create our own one in accounts.backends dot email auth. So once we've done that, then we can go ahead and we can create a new file in our accounts app called backends.py. And inside of there, then we're just going to write we're going to create our authentication backend. So we're going to say from django.contrib.auth.models import user. And then we're going to create a new class called email auth. I'm going to give this a docstring that says authenticate a user by an email or an exact match on the email and password. So what we want now is we want a method called authenticate. And this is going to take self as an argument, and it's also going to take the email and password. The username and password. So we say username is equal to none by default, and we'll do the same for the password. We'll give this a docstring of get an instance of user based off the username. Email and verified password. Get an instance of the user based off the email and verify the password. That's better. So what we're going to do then is we're going to have a try except block. So we're going to try get a user by using user.objects.get. We'll say email is equal to the username. And the reason this is called username here is because that's what the name of the form element is. So if user.checkPassword, we'll pass in password. We'll return the user then if the password validation is all good. Otherwise, we'll just return none. Then we'll have our except block, so we'll say except user.does not exist. So if the user doesn't exist, then we'll just return none. Outside of that, then we need a second method called getUser, and this is going to take an argument of self and the user ID. And this method will be called by Django. So we'll give this a docstring, say used by the Django authentication system to retrieve a user instance. And the logic in here is pretty much going to be the same. So I'm going to try to get a user by saying user.objects.all. I'm going to where the PK is equal to the user ID. And then if user dot is active, so if it's an active user, then we'll return that user. Otherwise, we'll return none. And then in our except block, we'll have the same as we did above. So we'll say user dot does not exist, and then we'll simply return none again. Okay, so I should be able to save this now and head over to our and refresh our application. So I'm going to go to the login page again, and I should be able to log in now using an email address. So aaron@codeinstitute.net. And there we go. It works perfectly.